Good morning, everyone. Please still get food and have a seat, and we'll get the program started. This morning, we're going to recognize our outstanding Presidential Award recipients. I am thrilled that we are joined by so many friends and family members, and also the faculty members, administrators, and community partners who have mentored these exceptional students during their time at Tufts University. Each year, we celebrate the remarkable achievements in civic leadership and public service of our students with the prestigious Presidential Awards for Civic Life. Active citizenship and positive social impact are core values at Tufts, and they are defining strengths of this institution. Today's recipients embody those values. They take action for change. They collaborate and innovate. They challenge themselves and us with tough questions, and they take on seemingly intractable problems. In short, they do what we ask of all jumbos. They put their values, knowledge, and skills to work for the greater good. With all of the extraordinary student-led work across Tufts, it seems like choosing the awardees gets more difficult every year. This year, we have 16 award recipients, 8 undergrads, and 8 graduate students, who exemplify leaders in civic life, calling out injustice, demanding change, registering voters, and running for office themselves. It is fitting that we honor the accomplishments of these student leaders on our campus today. As we recognize their achievements and thank them for their service to this university and our surrounding communities, I also want to acknowledge the support and mentorship they have had from so many in this room today. Special thanks to the faculty members, staff, students, and community partners who submitted nominations. You will hear more about our award recipients shortly as each is introduced by their nominators. After we present the awards, Joyce Knoll, Dean ad interim of the Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine, will make concluding remarks, and then I'll close today's program. But first, it's my pleasure to introduce Alan Solomont, the Dean of the Jonathan M. Tisch College of Civic Life, our MC this morning. Please join me in welcoming Alan Solomont.
Thank you, Tony, and good morning. Good morning. We're all up at this early spring morning. It's wonderful to join so many members of the Tufts community to celebrate the outstanding students we honor today with the Presidential Awards for Civic Life. I want to thank President Monaco for his leadership, for his commitment to supporting and recognizing civic engagement at Tufts, and for hosting this morning's ceremony. I join him in acknowledging and expressing my gratitude to all the Tufts faculty, staff, and community members who share a commitment to civic life and who have played a critical role in helping today's award recipients thrive as leaders on campus and beyond. I also want to thank my colleagues from Tisch College and our partners in the President's Office for their hard work organizing this year's awards and planning this morning's breakfast. The Presidential Awards for Civic Life are among the highest honors conferred on students by the university. They reflect the institution's core values and one of its most important missions: to educate the next generation of young people, to solve difficult problems, to strengthen democracy, and to create a brighter world. It's a privilege for me to lead Tisch College, which is charged with advancing this mission of the university on its campuses, in its host communities, indeed around the world. Through academic courses, leadership programs, internships, community partnerships, and original research on civic and political life, Tisch College strives to ensure that all Tufts students, regardless of their academic discipline or career path, will graduate with the skills and knowledge to lead a productive civic life, able to contribute to their community, to their nation, and to the world. As I look around this room and peruse the program, I can see we are well on our way to achieving our objectives. Today, we honor students from 7 of the university's graduate and professional schools, as well as undergraduates who are majoring in half a dozen different academic fields, from political science and community health to Africana studies and engineering psychology. The depth and breadth of opportunities that exist at Tufts for service learning, community-engaged research, campus leadership, and pursuing far-reaching social impact are a testament to one of our essential beliefs at Tisch College, that there are many different pathways to getting involved, to improving communities, and to strengthening democracy. As is the case every year, I'm especially proud that so many students that we recognize today have chosen one of the pathways to civic engagement offered by Tisch College. Among today's honorees are Tisch Scholars, Tisch Summer Fellows, participants in the Jumpstart and STEM Ambassador Program, as well as students who have participated in service learning programs at the medical school, the dental school, and the veterinary medicine school. You will hear about their work and their accomplishments shortly, but I want them to know how immensely proud is the entire Tisch College family of all of you and your civic contributions. Indeed, we are proud of all the award recipients, and for that matter, of the many worthy nominees who were not selected, all of whom share the quintessential jumbo commitment to engage in civic life and to transform the world for the better. Now let's move on to the award presentations, which is why we're all here. Let me just give you a few instructions before we do. Nominators, after your remarks, please remain at the front of the room to join the president in presenting the award and to pose for pictures. Each of the recipients' school deans are also invited to join us for the photographs. Please remember to take off your name tag before having your photograph taken. It'll look a lot better. And then please feel free to get up and grab more breakfast. And finally, applaud enthusiastically. Show your appreciation as we celebrate these outstanding students. Although the undergraduate award recipients are listed first in your program, we're going to begin by recognizing the graduate and professional school students, some of whom have some time constraints. So please help me welcome each nominator as they introduce the student they have recommended for an award, and we will begin with Lori Goldman, Senior Lecturer in the Urban and Environmental Policy and Planning Department, who will introduce Alice Maggio.
Among UEP's already distinguished cohort of aspiring practical visionaries, Alice Maggio stands out. In fact, before she even applied to Tufts, Alice was invited to give a lecture at a UEP colloquium organized by the student group Tufts New Economy, when she was director of the Berkshire's local currency program. Her work managing and developing this innovative community economic development program already placed her in the ranks of emerging young leaders. Over her last 2 years at Tufts, Alice has applied her considerable organizing and leadership skills to revive the Tufts New Economy group, as well as gain experience in public service interning in the New York City office of the Deputy Mayor for Strategic Policy Initiatives. She has also extended her reach internationally, serving as a research assistant with MIT's Community Innovators Lab on a project supporting a global alliance for values-based banking. Last June, she was featured on a youth-organized TEDx talk, sharing her vision of local, healthy, and sustainable communities and economies. UEP has also benefited from Alice's leadership skills as a teaching assistant in 2 UEP core classes. Perhaps the biggest reason Alice is a perfect candidate for this award is that she takes little credit or spotlight for her contributions. She's all about building the collective process and staying focused on initiatives that have lasting and deep impact. Even though Alice was responsible for catalyzing the revival of Tufts' New Economy, she knew that she could only play that role for a short time, which is why she cultivated the leadership of many other members of the group. She's also the nicest and most genuine person who can work with nearly anyone. She's the consummate team player. We'll miss you, but we'll continue to build on your contributions, and we know that you'll continue to contribute in a way that will make that lasting impact.
You know, every year we do this, we sort of practice this little dance up at the up here. So the nominator, the recipient, I move in back of them, they move to the left. Peter gives the president the award, the president gives the recipient the award, we take some pictures, and then I come back up to introduce the next one. You all got it? We're gonna do it, it's a line dance. Please help me welcome Lisa Vino, who's the Associate Director of Graduate Programs at the School of the Museum of Fine Arts, who will introduce Timothy Manalo.
Good morning. I thought it was a little bit later down on the list, so I feel I'm unexpectedly talking right now, but I'll get through it. A few years ago, I participated in a grad admissions Skype interview with Timothy Manalo. Prior to the interview, I perused his artwork and quickly realized the vast extent of his talent by the thoughtfulness and sophistication of the artwork that he was presenting, and that it was informed by his Philippine heritage. Expectantly, I looked forward to the interview of this amazing, talented artist, and during the interview, Tim was generous in his descriptions of his art and his motivation for creating such detailed and impressive work. When Tim arrived at SMFA at Tufts, he quickly became immersed in his artistic and academic practice. Not only did he participate in every aspect of the graduate student experience, he also made time to work with a Filipino group, conducting meetings and advocating for their rights. If you have a chance, you can find Tim front and center in the October 19th edition of Tufts Now, under the headline, A Tale of Two Protests, that featured the protests against perceived wrongs by the Philippine government. Tim stated, "Those of us now working to raise awareness about Filipino issues and human rights wanted to honor and continue that legacy by drawing attention to the injustices that exist in the Philippines today." Tim is a talented artist and a scholar who often goes out of his way to show compassion and kindness to his fellow grad students. He opens his heart to them and comforts them in time of need. There is no limit that Tim cannot reach with his intellect, artistic talent, empathy, and tenacity. Best of luck, Tim, in the future.
Next, I invite Joyce Noel, the Dean ad interim of the Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine, who will introduce India Napier.
So this was a joint nomination with Dr. Jennifer Graham. So we're very proud to be able to present this award to India Napier. So she has one of these personalities, rare personalities, where she doesn't sit by the sidelines, she acts on her passions, and she's almost a force of nature, I think. So she earned her master's degree and PhD at Auburn University in 2015, and then joined us at the Cummings School, where she's now a member of the class of 2020. And her PhD mentor once said that India wants to make a difference beyond the bounds of academia, and her presence is felt as a force of good. So a force of nature, but a force for good. And certainly the Cummings School and the community at large have definitely benefited from her passion and her leadership, her enthusiasm. So we're very lucky to have her. So upon coming to Cummings School, she immediately became co-president of the class of 2020, and she's worked really hard to make that a cohesive and collaborative class. So they've benefited. She's been a member of several different committees, including our very successful Dean Search Committee. She was the student representative, so yay. She's also been an essential, really essential participant and leader on our Tufts Veterinary Diversity Council. So she's been co-chair and really a very large driving force for a lot of the programs that committee has instituted. And so as part of that, one of the things she did, just one of many things she did, was to organize and then volunteer in a food drive to collect food for the Centro Food Pantry in Worcester. So that's just, again, one of the many activities that she instituted. She's a representative on VOICE. So VOICE is a national student-run organization. VOICE stands for Veterinary Students as One in Culture and Ethnicity. And so VOICE seeks to celebrate diversity within the veterinary profession, promote cross-cultural awareness and sensitivity in veterinary medicine, and very importantly, it provides mentorship to youth, especially those from underrepresented groups, that people who may be interested in careers in veterinary medicine. And so she's part of that organization. And then even more, well, it's hard to say more importantly, but equally important perhaps is that if it wasn't for India, we would not be participating in a program that's known, this is how we roll, and that's roll, R-O-L-E. So this program is a STEM education program that is aimed at elementary school children. But for us, it's also important because we don't have a very diverse profession, unfortunately, and this program serves as a way to put forward potential role models to these elementary school children to let them know, inspire them towards a potential career in veterinary medicine. And so India learned about this program, but then found out that the Cummings School didn't have any contacts. We're involved in STEM education, but it's mainly been at the middle school and high school level, and so we didn't have any elementary school contacts. And so India cold called elementary schools in Worcester, and within a couple days found us a partner, and then she worked with her classmates to find potential role models within her class and some of the other classes at the Cummings School. She worked with school leadership to find faculty and staff who would be participants, and she helped to write the grant. And so if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be involved in that program today. So, so it's very important, both for STEM education and as a pipeline program for us. So very recently, India was awarded the Patricia M. Lowry Diversity Leadership Scholarship, and this is, it's the only scholarship awarded by the American Association for Veterinary Medical Colleges, and she got that award because of her exemplary promise as a future leader in the veterinary profession. And so we are so very proud of India and the work she's done, the things she's done to help our school and our community. And so we know she's going to go far in the future, and we're lucky to be with her at the start of that career. So thank you.
Next, Nicole Raya, a PhD candidate at the School of Engineering, will introduce Eleana Manousiouthakis. Please welcome them.
Hello, everyone. I am truly honored today to be able to introduce a great friend and colleague that is fully committed to her community, not for personal gain, but because she truly cares. She is a role model to many of us in the biomedical engineering department, and in her own community as well. She is a passionate scientist, mentor, and most importantly, an advocate for all. Every day, she brings positive energy into whatever she does. In the lab, she is a mentor to many engineering undergraduate students. And as a colleague, I can really see that she cares about their achievements and their personal experiences. She has provided them with training over and beyond what many other mentors have done in the past, and it shows, and they are great students. In addition, she is involved in many graduate student organizations at Tufts, such as the Graduate Society for Women Engineers, the Biomedical and Chemical Engineering Graduate Society, and served as the department representative for the Biomedical Engineering Department. She advocated bringing graduate students together by acting as a social chair for the Biomedical and Chemical Engineering Graduate Student Society, organizing exciting events to be able to bring two department communities together, and helped earn the Outstanding Graduate Student Organization honor. What has always impressed me is her commitment to outreach. She has volunteered for the past 5 years for a nonprofit called Scientists, Inc. that puts on a national festival called Taste of Science, which brings scientists to share their work in local bars and venues, making science attainable and available to the general public. She helped co-found this festival in Boston 5 years ago, and since then, she has been the Soul City coordinator since. She is extremely organized and passionate about this work. She is able to get consistent funding. She has no issues of recruiting volunteers, including myself. From my perspective, her positivity and passion is influential, and I believe that all volunteers and attendees of this event feel the same. One of Eleana's colleagues at Scientist, Inc. has said that she is not just a leader, but also a mentor to her team. She is generous with her time and supportive of her team, always willing to listen and include their ideas. She has contributed to the cause of science and outreach on a national level by helping other members of the Taste of Science Festival in other cities. She is dedicated to diversity and inclusion, and this is demonstrated by her selection of guest speakers in the past. As she continues with her career, I believe that she will do amazing things for her community, and I am honored to introduce this award for her. Thank you.
I think we're getting that down, don't you think, Alonso? Okay. Please welcome Jerry Sheehan, the Executive Associate Dean at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, who will introduce Pedro Cárdenas Casillas.
Before I introduce Pedro, I just want to let you all know that there's a school 2 doors down, and that any of you are thinking about graduate study, additional graduate study, any of the recipients, we would be delighted if you would consider Fletcher. My co-nominator is not here. I just want to give a shout out to Katie Mulroy, our Director of Student Affairs, who's not able to join us today because she's battling the flu. In limited time, it really is not possible to provide but an illustrative sense of why Pedro deserves recognition. But I will try. First, and while not immediately relevant to this award, I note, like so many of the honoraries here, that Pedro is not only a distinguished leader in our community, he's also a superb student with a stunningly high GPA, and I won't embarrass him by talking about his academic record. Human rights is a common thread in Pedro's studies, work, and extracurriculars. Prior to Fletcher, Pedro volunteered for a year for Peace Brigades International as a field member and human rights observer in Guatemala. Among other things, he launched a gender subcommittee to review and report on gender-driven violence. While enrolled at Fletcher, Pedro has continued to volunteer for PBI. He digitally advises the current team in Guatemala on security directives, while also providing decision-making advice in critical situations. Pedro was a member of our student initiative, the Human Rights Practicum. He and 5 others analyzed 12 country cases where private security firms violated human rights. They subsequently draft a code of conduct for these private security companies, which was presented to the International Code of Conduct Association. Pedro was the most conspicuous and dedicated volunteer during our week-long orientation for 300 new students. He and one other student led 2 full days of small group sessions on bridging differences through dialogue. He took a thoughtful approach, and he was patient with what essentially were discussions of some very challenging case studies that occurred within Fletcher. He also led a new session adapting to a Fletcher in U.S. education designed for incoming students who have not studied or lived in the U.S. Topics range from the serious to perhaps the not so serious, such as purchasing a New England-friendly winter wardrobe. Pedro is known as a go-to organizer at the school. He is a leader of the Fletcher Latin America group, responsible for bringing many speakers to campus as well as organizing our annual Fiesta Latina. He has organized 2 student-led treks, that is, educational and cultural trips to other nations. In this case, one to his native Mexico and one to Brazil. He was instrumental, along with several other students, in creating Fletcher's first Decolonizing International Relations Conference, which examined non-Western literature which ought to be included in the study of international relations. Pedro's personal characteristics are compelling. He is humble. He is invariably quick to pass credit to others. He is relentlessly optimistic. He can grapple with serious and concerning matters and yet remain dispassionate and constructive. Katie, who's not here, and I would also like to note one other thing of which many students and members of our Fletcher community are unaware, and that is Pedro has been unflinchingly selfless and kind in supporting several students who have struggled during their time at Fletcher. In conclusion, how highly respected is Pedro? Well, he was just elected last week as one of our 2 commencement student speakers. Congratulations, Pedro.
Nancy Marks is the Tisch College Community Service Learning Coordinator at the School of Dental Medicine, and she will introduce Gabrielle Lieberman.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. What I love, this is my favorite award that we give out at Tufts, because I feel like underneath all the stories are incredible human beings that move from a place of love. Really, I mean, they move from a place of humanity and love, and that is not lifted up in the way that I want to lift it up, because when I look out here, I am in awe of what people are doing. And it is great pleasure to induct and introduce Gabby as being one of you. She leads with love and with leadership, and she is a beautiful human being. So Gabby will be graduating as a dentist in just so few weeks. And when I met her 4 years ago, I would say that Gabby knew what she knew, and came to the table saying, "This is what I know." And what makes Gabby such a rock star is that over the last few years, she has shown what she doesn't know and how to learn it, right? By listening to the kids that she works with. She is going to be graduating as a pediatric dentist. And the joy that kids have when they are with her and in her midst is quite a beautiful thing. And that is something that school is about, right? School is about opening yourself and lifting yourself up and growing. And seeing Gabby become this amazing pediatric dentist is inspiring. Not enough for me to go to dental school, but it does make me wish I could go back and have her as my dentist, if I could go back. Just a few things I want to. So Gabby is now the president of her American. Oh my God, I'm going to mess it up. Pediatric Dentistry Association Academy. I'm sorry, but it's a big deal, okay? She got to that position because she's been a leader in all she does, all things pediatric dentistry. She was one of the leaders in Give Kids a Smile, which brings in over 100 families from greater Boston who are underserved around dental care and gives a day of free dental care. She's gone to the DR several times and been as a leader on that brigade to serve underserved youth there. She has spent her last 4+ years volunteering every year at the Special Olympics, bringing a group of our students to do free dental screenings and oral health promotion there. She has done countless numbers of lessons in a lunchbox where we go into the schools and lead assemblies, and kids get, believe it or not, incredibly excited about brushing their teeth. Now, I don't know, if anyone can make kids excited about brushing their teeth, you've got to think they're a rock star. And in that way, I would like to present Gabby, one of our rock stars at Tufts School of Dental Medicine. It is a great honor to be here with you. So thank you.
Next, please welcome Irina Dragan, Assistant Professor of Periodontology at the School of Dental Medicine, who will introduce Anne-Marie Vu.
Good morning, everybody. Almost 8 years ago, Anne-Marie was here, exactly in the same campus, excited to join Tufts University for her undergraduate studies. I'm here today, though, to introduce some of her accomplishments as a student of the School of Dental Medicine. To the selection committee, thank you so much for selecting her. She has been a leader in the areas of oral health education, health literacy, and educational research. She was named an Albert Schweitzer Fellow for 2017-2018 for her project titled Miles of Smiles, Oral Health Education for Children with Autism Spectrum Disorder. The tools, games, and activities she has developed are modifiable, easy to reproduce, and affordable. Her lesson plans and toolkit have been successfully piloted and hopefully will be used in special needs classrooms nationwide. During the past year, I had the honor to mentor her for the 2018-2019 Academic Career Fellowship offered by American Dental Education Association. This program gives students the opportunity to become involved in academia by providing structured mentoring and insights into what an academic career involves. As part of that fellowship, she conducted an educational research study of interprofessional education in dental schools that involved not only current students, but also alumni. She took that role very seriously because she also mentored and inspired junior students not only from the dental schools, but other healthcare professions as well. As a recognition to that, she was acknowledged with the National Award by the American Dental Education Association for the preventive dentistry activities. Following her graduation, Anne-Marie, that will become Dr. Anne-Marie Vu, she will follow the footsteps of our own Dean Hugh Thomas, that was also a co-nominator for this award, and unfortunately couldn't be here today, and she will enter the Advanced Education Program in Pediatric Dentistry at the University of Connecticut Health Center. Please join me in congratulating Anne-Marie.
I think it's a generational thing that some people read from their device and some people use paper. My eyes were better, I'd use a device. Next, I'd like to welcome Jennifer Greer-Morrissey, who is the Tisch College Community Service Learning Coordinator at the School of Medicine, who will introduce Emily Geldwert.
Thank you, Dean Salamot and President Monaco. Emily Geldwert is a force. By my math, she has completed over 1,000 hours of service during medical school. The idea of condensing that impact into a short speech is very daunting, but it is my honor to try. Emily's interest in addiction medicine brought her to Lynn Community Health Center. Like many communities across the country, there were more people in Lynn who wanted substance use treatment than there were resources. Emily was awarded a Schweitzer Fellowship to volunteer at the health center, where she designed and implemented a group medical visit model for substance use patients, enabling more people to access treatment, and this successful model could be replicated at other health centers. This is an incredible accomplishment for a medical student. Emily also founded the Addiction Medicine Interest Group to help educate other medical students about addiction, and she organized a Teach Us to Treat intercollegiate conference in partnership with the mayor's office, a day of workshops and lectures attended by over 200 students in various health science graduate programs throughout New England. Emily also served on the board of our Sherwood Project as a sexual and reproductive health counselor. Even after long days of classes, Emily was always fully present with her patients, listening, asking questions, and helping connect them to additional resources. This work was rewarding, but Emily wanted to do more. So after 70 hours of training, she became a volunteer for the network La Red, which serves survivors of partner abuse from the LGBTQ, BDSM, and polyamorous communities. Every Wednesday night for the past 3 years, including I think last night, Emily served as a medical and legal advocate on their national hotline, offering a non-judgmental listening ear and referring callers to resources. For these individuals, barriers to care are much greater due to their sexual identities and orientations. And Emily has been a consistent source of support and empathy. So consistent, in fact, that some callers know to call on Wednesday nights because that's when they'll get Emily. Most medical students can't volunteer during their clinical years due to the demanding schedule. And I remember when Emily told me she planned to continue with the hotline during third year. I think that my exact words were, "Isn't that like literally impossible to do?" And with that Emily level of conviction in her voice, she said, "It's important to me, so I'm going to figure out a way to make it work." And she did. And she earned high honors in all her clinical rotations. And she was named Volunteer of the Year by the organization. Through all these projects, Emily has shown an incredible capacity to truly listen. I would like to share some of her words about the stories and perspectives that she will bring to her future practice. I didn't warn you about that, sorry. Bruised, battered, and broken, they, her callers, would choose to stay home rather than seek medical care. With heart-wrenching stories, I was told that the medical system exploited their differentness and dismissed their ailments. I was told we did not listen. I was told we did not care for anything other than our own agenda, patch them up, get them out. I was told that in the name of trying to help, we often did nothing more than perpetuate their abuse. Their stories have changed me. Their impact will be lasting as I work toward creating spaces that allow for healing. How fortunate for us that these spaces for healing will be right here in Boston, as Emily prepares to become a family medicine resident at Boston Medical Center in their addiction medicine track. I'm always inspired by our presidential award winners, but Emily, like the volume of service hours, the emotionally and logistically challenging nature of these projects, and the sheer force of your determination to support and advocate for our most vulnerable patients. You're like in a different dimension of inspiring. You've made an enormous impact as a volunteer, a healer, an ally, an educator, a counselor, an advocate, a leader, and a friend. And it is an honor to present you with a Presidential Award for Civic Life.
Let's hear it up for all of the graduate and professional school students. And now to begin honors for our undergraduate students, welcome to Grace Toulousan, lecturer in the English department and instructor in the Tisch Scholars Program, who will introduce Ashley Alphonse. Grace.
I've known Ashley since she was a first-year student in my first-year writing class, and I've gotten to know her in deeper ways over the years through her work as a Tisch Scholar, and then later she joined us as the TA for the Tisch Scholar program. Through her time here at Tufts, Ashley has worked for the Harvard Immigration and Refugee Clinical Programs, for Representative Mary Keefe and the Cambridge Multi-Service Centers. She's also participated in things like the ENVY, which is the STEP team, Tufts mock trial, and has become a leader and a captain for both of those organizations. And Ashley's also been part of BLAST. And Rob Mack has said that I believe in her character, ability, and how she has navigated her time here at Tufts. And he describes her as determined and as having a determined and generous nature. Sarah Allred at Tisch College describes Ashley as working tirelessly in pursuit of social justice. I've been so pleased to know Ashley all these years and to get to know her story. And recently at the Martin Luther King campus event, she told the story of her life, which is a story of resilience. And so with all her activities, she's a role model, but even in just the way that she lives her life, she is also so admirable. I'm honored to be a part of her life at Tufts and as she continues in her next steps at Ropes and Gray and beyond, and it is my great honor to present you with this award. Thank you, Ashley.
Next, please welcome Maggie McMurrow, who runs the Tisch Summer Fellows Program, and she will introduce Jacqueline Cabral.
Thank you, Dean Solomon and President Monaco, for the opportunity to recognize these outstanding students. I am pleased to present the Presidential Award for Civic Life to Jacqueline Cabral. I met Jackie when she interviewed for a fellowship at the Boston Area Health Education Center, which she received, through the Tisch Summer Fellows program in her freshman year at Tufts. She was one of the most passionate, poised, and kind students I have met in my many years at Tisch College. Jackie has taken her passion and talent for research to address the needs of communities and use it as a tool for advocacy. In the summer of 2017, Jackie secured a rare second Tisch Summer Fellowship at the New York Academy of Medicine, where she was able to collaborate with and advocate for low-income communities through research and legislation. Applying research to make policy-level changes instilled in her the great significance behind addressing community needs through the research process. This past summer, Jackie was a part of the Rise Up program, a public health and clinical traineeship at the UC Davis Health System's Mine Institute in Sacramento. There, she integrated her passions for public health and medicine, trained in pediatrics, conducted research focused on autism spectrum disorder and maternal health, and set the foundation for a community collaborative coalition. She strongly promoted community engagement between the Institute and the communities surrounding it because of her belief in the power that an institution holds to make systems-level change. Jackie noticed public health issues such as the lack of access to services for people of color and lack of representation in research. Believing that stronger community partnerships could help ease the racial health disparities at the Institute, she proposed the idea of a community collaborative coalition to bring community organizations that represent various underserved groups, partner institutions, and community organizations together to propose feasible solutions. Since then, she has been focusing on disparities in immigrant communities, specifically between undocumented and documented Latinx communities. With her professor, Jackie worked on a paper showcasing documentation status as an indicator of health and hopes to fuel multi-level initiatives to focus on this unrecognized issue. Due to the fear perpetuated by documentation status, the health outcomes affecting undocumented immigrant communities are often not assessed by the clinical, research, or public health sector. She wants to advocate for the communities like the one she comes from and advocate for mothers and aunts like hers. Jackie's focus on these communities has led to researching immigration in Spain while she was abroad, and to her current internship at MGH, where she's focusing on how parent health literacy affects the services used by children with autism spectrum disorder. There, she is bringing awareness to the need for more diversity in order to help develop strategies that benefit families of color. Jackie's advisor shares that she is the student who's always asking herself, what can I do? How can I do more? And how can I do it better? As she graduates from Tufts University, Jackie has accepted a position at Southern Jamaica Plain Community Health Center, one of our community partners, where she will be working on their primary care initiatives, health promotion, and their pioneering project on racism and health. Jackie is so excited as this position will allow her to invest in the community and engage with them every day. She will get to be in a space where she can bring awareness to other health centers and hospitals to invest resources in studies and programs trying to ease the effects of structures and systems. I'm so proud to present the Presidential Award for Civic Life to Jacqueline Cabral. Congratulations.
Karen Kosinski is a lecturer in the Department of Community Health, and she will introduce Jesse Osmar Najarro Cermeño.
I just want to say that I feel so fortunate to be able to introduce Jesse for this award. I've known Jesse since he was a freshman, so a very long time. I've had him in class 3 times. When I sat down to write his letter for this award, it was so interesting to me because it ended up taking me hours and I wrote pages. And it was kind of amazing to think that I had known somebody for 4 years since he matriculated at this university, and I still learned so much about him. I learned so much about all of the things that he's been doing so kind of quietly and just behind the scenes, so much advocacy work. He has put so much effort into raising the profile of the issues that are just so present and so important in society today. And he's done so much of this by reflecting on his own personal background. Jesse was recently talking to me about how his grandparents immigrated from Guatemala. They worked 5 jobs when they arrived in this country. He has reflected on that so deeply and has brought so much experience from his own personal life to all of the work that he has done during his 4 years at Tufts. And his family is here. I think that they must just be so proud of the amount of effort that he has put into everything and how he has brought, again, such an increased sense of the importance and the presence of these incredibly pressing issues. So he has worked on behalf of a whole number of organizations, literally pages and pages of the internships and the mentoring that he has done, the work with young people, the outreach that he has performed, and I won't go through that whole big list, but I will give a particular shout out to his most recent endeavor, which is his senior honors thesis in community health. This has been a huge labor of love that he started last summer. He is working with people who inject drugs in Lowell and Lawrence, and has been working with folks at the Boston campus to try to do outreach. This has been extremely labor intensive. It has cost him countless number of hours that he would normally spend on schoolwork, but his grades remain very impressive. And I can attest to the quality of the work that he does in the classroom because he's taking a course with me this semester while also finishing his honors thesis. So again, this is an impressive individual. You will hear more from him, and you will hear it very persistently, and you will hear it tenaciously, and you will hear it in the nicest possible way. And it's just amazing that he can do all of those things simultaneously. So I am just so proud of Jesse, and congratulations.
Sarah Allred. Sarah is the Tisch Scholars Program Administrator, and she will introduce Evan Cook.
Morning, everyone. I'd like to start by saying thank you to President Monaco and Dean Solomont for the opportunity to honor these amazing students, and congrats to all of this year's recipients. And also want to do a little shout out to the other 2 Tisch Scholars that are receiving the award, Ashley, Alphonse, and Anjalique Knight.
So I have the great pleasure of introducing Evan Cook to you today. Evan was nominated by 3 people from Tisch College, myself, Maggie McMorrow, the Tisch Summer Fellows Program Administrator, and Sherry Sklarowitz, the Associate Director of Tisch Student Programs, because we think he is a Tisch superstar. He's participated in the Tisch Scholars Program since his first year at Tufts and has worked on a range of community-based organizing as well as research projects. I believe he's the only student in the history of the Tisch Summer Fellows Program to be accepted into the program all 3 of his summers at Tufts, and worked in all 3 of the domestic program cities, so in Boston, DC, and New York. I could go on and on about the work that he's done through our programs, the Tisch programs, and in other groups he's a part of at Tufts, but I thought instead I'd share an example of work that he did closer to home within Tisch College that I think is really a good example of how Evan approaches social change work more broadly. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work that happens in our programs and in education in general, things like clarifying program outcomes, identifying learning objectives, working on theory of change, scaffolding learning, and most students interact with these things when they set goals at the beginning of the semester or when they're reflecting on their learning at the end, and I think, and sometimes I sneak it in other times too, but I think most students are, okay with that kind of level of interaction with those kinds of things, and I don't think many are really looking to or excited to dig into those kinds of things, but Evan is different. During the fall of his junior year for his Tisch Scholar project, he helped to support the design of our updated evaluation strategy for the Tisch College Student Programs team, and he wholeheartedly dug into the what, the why, the how of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to measure in relation to civic learning. He worked closely with a range of people connected to this work, so colleagues in the Tisch Student Programs group, with our research team, with Tisch College leadership, and with his fellow students to understand all of the different visions, priorities, and experiences that all tie into this work. And he and I spent hours in my office that semester talking about big picture questions related to things like identity, leadership, and agency, to name a few. So in the spirit of thinking about learning outcomes, I wanted to just share a few of the civic skills, values, and knowledge that I have seen Evan grow into and utilize over these past 4 years. Evan has strong skills in connecting with others, with building relationships, with organizing, and he does it with a kindness and an approachability that builds trust easily. He's able to take in many perspectives on an issue and has keen analytic skills to identify themes and patterns and make thoughtful suggestions or decisions. He understands the value of both on-the-ground work and big picture thinking and does both interchangeably. He's thoughtful and intentional in all he says and does. But most important, I think, is Evan's concern for and inclusion of others. He's never thinking of only his own needs or wants, but brings in the experiences of others. And I think, like what Nance said, I think he leads with love. And I think we need more people who think and act this way in our world. So I feel so fortunate to have gotten to know Evan over these past 4 years, and I'm pleased to have the opportunity to honor him with the Tufts Presidential Award for Civic Life.
Sherry Sklarowitz. Got to get her notes. Sherry Sklarowitz is the Associate Director of Student Programs at Tisch College, and she will introduce Bethany Kirby.
Thank you, Dean Solomon. Congratulations to all our award winners. So I'm here to introduce Bethany Kirby, and I'm speaking on behalf of my co-nominators, Ashley Austin, the Associate Director of Campus Life, and Rob Mack, the Associate Provost and Chief Diversity Officer. The 8 years I've worked in higher education, I have encountered few students with the same ambition as Bethany. As part of my role at Tufts, I'm the campus champion for Jumpstart, an organization that trains college students to work with preschoolers on literacy. Bethany immediately proved herself to be an outstanding asset to Jumpstart. taking on the role of team leader in her first year at the school. She used her background, which was very different from many of her peers, to motivate her to achieve more. She was the featured speaker for Jumpstart's prestigious regional event that year and inspired many with her drive to create access to education for all youth. The director of the preschool where Bethany served wrote that Bethany is a tireless volunteer and has demonstrated great sensitivity to organizational needs as well as creativity in solving problems. She is perceptive, empathetic, and committed to every task she takes on. She continued to take on more responsibility in the Jumpstart program as team leader, but also as volunteer coordinator, while also taking on leadership roles in other areas at Tufts, such as the Leonard Carmichael Society. This is the largest student-run organization at Tufts and requires an incredible amount of patience, organization, and flexibility, to say the least. Bethany embodies each of these qualities and successfully managed over 30 volunteer subgroup organizations, coordinated 2 major fundraising events, and supervised 13 student board members. Her ability to achieve these high-level, measurable results while continuing to be a wonderful person to be with is truly exceptional. Bethany makes a powerful impact on everyone she meets, and she has made an impact on everyone throughout the university through her initiative and passion for creating positive social change. As Chief Diversity Officer Mack explained, Tufts recently celebrated the opening of the first Resource Center, a space that supports first-generation college-goers who are there. And while there are many reasons that this came to be and many people who supported it, I credit Bethany for the success. During Bethany's first 2 years at Tufts, she worked closely with the first-gen community and me to raise issues of inequity and raise our awareness on the challenges that this student community faces. She was always action-oriented in her approach, and she has several proposals for us to consider. Her advocacy in this space is now her legacy to this community. Ashley Austin writes, Bethany joined the OCL team this year as campus center manager and immediately became a leader on our staff. Most notably, on Friday and Saturday nights after closing the building at 2 a.m. and clocking out, Bethany stays unpaid and helps clean with the late-night dining staff. This is just one of the many examples of Bethany's willingness and dedication to helping others while also being an exemplary student. Bethany serves the Tufts campus and surrounding community in such a myriad of ways, and I have looked to her for advice on countless occasions. Her positive outlook, her kind demeanor, and her commitment to positive social change make her a truly exceptional leader, and I have felt privileged to work with her over the last 4 years. I am so interested to see what she will do moving forward, as this is a person who will make a tremendous impact on any endeavor that she embarks on. So congratulations, Bethany.
Katrina Moore is the director of the Africana Center, and she will introduce Anjalique Knight.
Good morning. We run deep over here. I am just so honored to introduce Anjalique to you. As director of the Africana Center, I met Anjalique in 2015 at our annual orientation retreat, and she has been a frequent visitor and contributor to the work of the Africana Center in helping us to build a strong and supportive Africana community, particularly in assisting us with the planning of our annual Africana Festival and organizing our participation in the Yale Black Solidarity Conference and planning our annual graduate stole ceremony. Angie did not hesitate to transition her high school leadership experience and love for tutoring to opportunities both on campus and in the Medford area. During her first semester, she became involved in the work of the Tufts Center for the Study of Race and Democracy and conducted research for various projects, such as documenting the history of Black alumni whose Tufts experiences are memorialized on a plaque in Goddard Chapel. You should go over and take a look at that, and helping to plan their annual spring symposium. She was also selected to serve as a Medford in the Middle tutor for the Tufts Literacy Corp., and worked as a history and science tutor for middle school students at the West Medford Community Center. That's a fabulous center that I encourage you to visit as well. In collaboration with the Africana Center and the CSRD, we were able to include a tour of the West Medford Community Center during a bus tour of historical African American communities as part of Professor Gerald Gill's Black Freedom Trail project. And our efforts to reestablish a connection to the West Medford Center benefited from Angie's ability to build strong relationships with the staff. In 2016, through her on-campus work with the 3% movement, 3% student activist group, Angie played a critical role in coordinating a series of very productive community meetings between students and the Tufts administration. In her organizer role, she attended weekly meetings with student groups and the organizers, as well as monthly meetings with faculty members and administrators. The result of the meetings led to the establishment of the Africana Center Students' Quest for Unity in the African Diaspora Pre-Orientation Program. I am so proud of that. And the awarding of a student activities fund to supplement the Africana Center's budget, and the hiring of a Black mental health counselor. The SQUAD program is a highly successful program in its first year, and served as an introduction and building of a strong connection and sense of belonging in the Africana community. Angie applied for and was accepted to serve as one of the student coordinators to design the 2017 pre-orientation program. Her vision and commitment to the Africana community is invaluable in building on the success of the inaugural program and establishing a sustained legacy of warmth and belonging to future participants of the SQUAD program. As a Tisch Scholar, she served as a Medford High School Black Student Union advisor, giving up her Saturday mornings for that. And as an academic and community engagement fellow, she facilitated dialogue and planned events to engage first-year students in discussion about identity, Tufts resources, and other relevant information to help them achieve academic excellence and a successful transition to Tufts. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to meet Angie's mom and her grandparents, and I promised them that we would represent today for them because they really wanted to be here. But Angie, your mom and your grandparents are here as well. What a journey this has been. There is no doubt that you will be an outstanding Tufts ambassador and will continue the tradition of reaching back as a mentor and friend. Grace Toulousan, who also co-nominated you, and I are thrilled you are receiving this award.
Shirley Mark is the Director of Community Partnerships at Tisch College, and she will introduce Melanie Ramirez.
Thank you, President Monaco and Dean Solomon. It's my pleasure to be here to give this award to Melanie today. I also want to congratulate all the other awardees and give an extra shout out to Jackie, who's also a STEM ambassador. And co-nominating with me today is Courtney Russo from the Center for STEM Diversity. I am so pleased to be here to introduce Melanie for the Tufts Presidential Award for Civic Life. Melanie has been a core member of the Tufts STEM Ambassadors Program since she was eligible, which was as a sophomore. The Tufts STEM Ambassadors Program is a collaboration between Tisch College and the Center for STEM Diversity, and I see it as a marriage that brings together STEM outreach with educational equity issues. STEM ambassadors are all first-generation students, and they all come from underserved backgrounds. The ambassadors are a unique group of students because they love STEM. Now, don't you just love that? I mean, I had such a phobia for STEM when I was growing up, so I love that they love STEM. And what they do is they develop and deliver interactive, fun presentations to high schools in our host communities. Each semester, they're reaching, I think, 800 students between Somerville, Medford, and Chinatown. They not only teach lessons, but they reflect but as they stand in front of the classroom, they are reflecting the students, they are reflection of the students that are before them. And they serve as role models for the high school students. After her first year as an ambassador, Melanie joined the leadership committee, as did Jackie, and has played an increasingly greater role each year. A year ago, there were significant changes in the program because of staffing changes. Melanie stepped up and with a small team of peers really co-led the program and kept it running smooth so that our partners really didn't see any changes or minimal changes. This entailed working with her peers, keeping me and other staff apprised of what was going on, supporting the new ambassadors that had come in, because each year we recruit new ambassadors, and at the same time working closely with the professionals and the leadership at the 3 schools that we partner with. All of this was executed at the highest level, and it was not an easy year, but everything was done so smoothly that no one would have ever known how much the students really stepped up. As the new staff transitioned in, Melanie's collaborative style, her maturity, and her commitment to the program was further evidence. She stepped up really as a colleague, even though she was still an undergraduate, and just did whatever it took to ensure that everything went smoothly. Her transparent communications, her organizational skills, her mutual respect with her peers and from her peers kept everything going. She's deeply passionate about serving underserved communities, and she does this through education, mentorship, and outreach. She's a respected leader within the ambassadors and at Tufts. Melanie is a community health major and pre-med studies. For the past year, she has been president of the Tufts Minority Association of Pre-Health. In addition to STEM ambassadors, she has also worked very closely with the Sherwood Clinic for all 4 years as an undergrad, and she's interned with the Martha Elliott Community Health Center in Boston. After graduation, she will be returning to work this summer at the pipeline program that she participated in as a middle school student, high school student, and that will be at Stanford. And this is the program that she really credits toward getting her to Tufts and to beyond. Last, what I want to mention is throughout all this, throughout all her community service, she's maintained the highest GPA, and she will be joining the Phi Beta Kappa soon, coming up. Congratulations, Melanie, for all your service to Tufts, to our host communities. We wish you all the best as you graduate and begin your next journey, and please stay in touch.
I just wanted to echo Shirley's comment about STEM. We're trying to put the C back into STEM. Get it? Civic? Sorry. Well, I'm almost finished. So So for our last award nominator and awardee, please welcome Magnifique Mukundwa, who's going to introduce, who is a student in the School of Engineering, class of 2020, who's going to introduce Maureen Kalimba Isimbi.
Good morning, everybody. It is a pleasure to be here to present this award to Maureen Kalimba Isimbi from Kigali, Rwanda, who is a junior at Tufts University majoring in engineering psychology with a minor in engineering management. Before Maureen even came to Tufts, she already embodied what a civic life truly is. For instance, she helped a community in Rwanda have access to water. She was tremendously involved in programs like Never Again Rwanda, which is a peace-building and social justice organization in response to the 1994 genocide against Tutsi that facilitates sustainable peace and development. At Tufts, Maureen has been outstandingly driven. In 2018, she was the International Community Senator in the Tufts student government, where she advocated for international students like me. She was also the treasurer of the Tufts National Society of Black Engineers, and in October 2017, Maureen was awarded the NXP Foundation Women's STEM Student Achievement Award that recognizes accomplishments and vision of outstanding women in STEM. In 2017, again, Maureen was awarded the 2017 Monto Prize, awarded by the Entrepreneurship Center to build a platform that called Kalimba Education that connects Rwandan college students in need of tuition assistance with potential donors. Making education accessible to disadvantaged students as well as women empowerment is what propels Maureen forward. Currently, she's interning with the Office of Executive Vice President of Tufts University. It is an honor to present this award to Maureen, a self-motivated leader who promotes and initiates new programs that bring about change. Congratulations.
I must say how inspiring it is to sit here and to listen to all of the nominations and the amazing things that our students are doing, and knowing full well that we're pressed for time, so these are actually brief and don't begin to recount all of the accomplishments and achievements of our students. And it occurs to me how many of the nominators pointed out that they've seen lots of students over the years who are civically engaged, but the person they're nominating this year sort of rises above all the rest. So congratulations to all the students. Thank you for inspiring all of us in the work that we do. Congratulations to families and friends who are here, and to all the nominators who helped us identify and celebrate these students. I want to thank President Monaco for his sponsorship of this award and his hosting us in all the ways in which he supports active civic life on this campus and beyond. And now please welcome Joyce Knoll, who's the Dean ad interim of the Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine, who will offer some concluding remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. Boy, wow, what an inspiring morning. I just have to echo Alan's comments, thanking him and Tisch College, President Monaco, for allowing us to present these awards. I feel like this is an opportunity for us to really recognize some of our best and brightest students across the university. And it's just amazing to listen to the achievements these young people have made. I feel like such a slacker. So congratulations to all the winners. Thanks to your families for sharing you with us. Thanks to the mentors who have worked with these people, all the faculty that have played a role in their development, and just know that we're all very proud of what you've achieved in a very short period of time and how you've impacted the school and the community at large. I want to especially, again, congratulate India Napier, the Cummings School recipient. So we're very proud to recognize her, and she really embodies the vision of what we like to see in a Cummings student, in the way she has really demonstrated extraordinary civic leadership. So these are really the kinds of professionals we're really called to educate, and honestly, the ones we love to educate. I know we're not supposed to have favorites, but these are folks that are easy to educate and really rewarding to educate. These are individuals who are using their skills, their knowledge, their training, their drive to really engage with the community and tackle some really difficult issues. And so I have to say that as I've listened to the achievements, the contributions, it just reminds me that this is something that exists across all of our schools. So throughout the Tufts University, I've had the opportunity in this year to talk to people, and I'm often asked to talk about what's special about Tufts University, and over and over and over again. This theme of civic leadership, active citizenship, this theme comes up over and over as just something that characterizes this university. This is something that is important to all of us, and this is a morning where we're really celebrating that important core value that our university has. So congratulations to the deans, to the faculty for recognizing these people, for embracing this civic mission as educators, and again, acknowledging the efforts of Tisch College to help us sort of solidify some of these programs and facilitate some of the work that our students are doing. So it's giving these students an opportunity to serve communities, to become leaders, and to grow in their professions as professionals who will seek the public good. So many of the award winners today are graduating students, and so some will be getting bachelor's degrees, master's, PhDs, or a professional degree. And so this is a good time to reflect on your past achievements, but we need to look forward again, so look forward together. So as you move on, I hope you'll view this as a chance to celebrate your past achievements, but also to view this as a challenge. So a challenge to keep up the good work. Don't stop now that you've just gotten started. So continue to strive to tackle those hard problems and become the transformative leaders that honestly our country needs and the world needs. We need you out there tackling these problems. So I have no doubt now, after hearing about what you've done so far, I have no doubt you'll be able to keep it up, and you'll continue to do good things and make us proud. So please come back, share with us what you're doing, all the, again, good civic leadership you do after you leave the university. Please share, mentor other students. So, you had faculty that helped mentor you, share that, pass it on, pay it forward, mentor new students who we can also send out to improve our world. And not a hard thing, continue to inspire us all. I know you can do it. So congratulations to you all, and thank you for everything. So.
Well, thank you, Joyce, and thank you, Allie, and congratulations to all of our award recipients. Your achievements really do inspire us all. I also want to thank all the people that traveled great distances to be here and celebrate this with us today. Please stay. There's still more food, and Alonzo would be happy to shoot more photos of everyone. So congratulations. Thank you.